Hello, Maima here from Go Ask Now Academy. I hope you all are doing good. Today we will study the chapter 8, which is Force and the Laws of Motion. So here, firstly in the previous chapter, we have studied about the motion, the types of motion and the laws of motion. Also, we have described some motion of an object along with the straight line in terms of its position, velocity, acceleration, speed, time, its graph. Also, we saw that the motion can be uniform, the non-uniform motion, the types of motion actually we can say. We have not yet discovered what are the causes of motion. Okay, we have only studied the motion in the straight line and all, but what is the reason? The causes of the motion we haven't studied. So, why does the speed of the object changes with the time? Do all the motion require causes? If so, what is the nature of the cause? So, in this chapter, we shall make a attempt to quench and all these such curiosities. For many centuries, the problem of the motions and its cause had a puzzled scientist and the philosophers. A ball in the ground when a given small hit does not move forever. Okay, such observation suggested. So that rest in the natural state of an object, this remained to be the until Galileo Galilei and Isaac Newton developed an entirely different approach to understand the motion. In the previous chapter, we have simply studied about the motion, the things and all, but we haven't studied the reasons and all. So here, this Galileo Galilei and Isaac Newton has given a good approach for to understand the motions. Okay, if you can see, there is an image. A trolley moves along with the direction where we're pushing. The drawer is pulled. When we just pull it in outside of the direction, then it will get out. The third image is showing that the hockey stick hits the ball forward. So pushing, pulling, or hitting object changes their state of motion. Here we can see all the three are different condition, and first one is pushing, then pulling, then hitting. So these, because of this, the object is coming in the motion. Now, in our everyday, we observe that the some effort is to require put a stationary object into the motion, or to stop moving an object. We ordinarily like experience this as a muscular effort and say that we must push or hit or pull on the object to change its state of motion. So the concept of force is based on this push and hit or pull. So let us wonder about the force. What is it? So firstly, like see, if any object is in the motion, when we apply some kind of force, then it will get stopped. If we want so, if we want anything to be in the motion, then we will just give a little force and it will be in the motion. So these kind of things comes in the motions, but there is one thing which is force, we can say. Okay, so now let us wonder about the force. What is it? In fact, no one has been seen, tasted or felt the force. However, we always see or feel the effect of the force. It can be explained by describing what happened when the force applied to an object. So only we can feel the not even feel, we can only see the thing, what like if we are just simply giving the force to an object, the action we can see. So pushing, hitting, and pulling of an object are all ways of bringing the object in the motion. They move because we make the force act on them. From your studies in earlier classes, you're also familiar with the fact that the force can be used to change the magnitude of an velocity of an object, that is make to be object move faster or slower. Okay, for depends whatever you want, faster or slower the things, or to change the direction as well. So we also know that force can change the shape and size of the object as well. If spring is like this, okay, and when you are stretching it, see either shape is going to be changed. Ball is like this, when you are applying the force it will be like this. So yes, it can change the shape and size as well. So spring is expanding on the application of force. Second is a spherical rubber ball becoming oblong as we apply the force on it. So this is how the force work. Now, balanced and unbalanced force. Now, here in the figure 8.3, we can see that it shows the building block on the horizontal table. Two string X and Y are tied on the two opposite faces, okay, of the block. And as shown, if we apply the force by pulling the string X, and the block going to be move in the right. Similarly, if we pull the string in the Y, the block moves in the left direction. But if block is pulled from the both sides with the equal force, then the block will not move. Such force is called a balanced force. Here, when you apply the force from both the end X and Y, then at that time this block will not move. So this particular thing is known as balanced force, and do not change the state of a rest or the motion of an object. Obviously, it will remain the same in there, it's in its place only. Now, let us consider a situation in which the two opposite forces on the different magnitude pull the block. In this case, the block would begin to move the direction with the greater force. Okay, if you are simply applying the like unequal force, one side greater, another side smaller, then obviously it will move towards the greater force only. There's the two forces, not the balanced and the unbalanced force act in the direction of the block moves. The second force will be the unbalanced force. This suggests that unbalanced force acting on the object brings the motion. Okay, here it is suggesting that unbalanced force acting on object to brings the motion, because if we will apply the balance force, then obviously it is not going to move. Now, what happens when some children push the box in the rough floor? If they push if they push the box with the smaller force, the box does not move. That we know, because of the friction acting in the direction opposite to the push. So the friction force arises to surface in the contact. In such case, between the bottom and the box of the floor rough surface, it balances the pushing force, and therefore box does not move. So here in this particular diagram, in the B part, the children push the box harder, but the box still not move. So this is the because of friction force still balances the pushing force. If the children push the box harder, still the pushing force becomes the bigger than the friction force. Okay, and this unbalanced force to the box starts moving. Okay, like this. Now, what happens when we ride this bicycle? We stop pedaling, the cycle begins to slow down. So this is also because of the friction force. Here also friction force is taking place, acting opposite to the direction of the motion. And in order to the bicycle moving, we have to start pedaling again. If thus appears, then object maintain its motion. And under the continuous application of an unbalanced force, however, it's quite incorrect, and object moves with the ununiform velocity with the forces, pushing force and the frictional force. When acting on the object at the balance, if no net external force on it. So if unbalanced force is applied, the object, there will be a change either in its speed or the direction of its motion. Thus, to accelerate the motion of an object, unbalanced force is required, and the change in its speed or the direction of the motion would continue as long as the unbalanced force is applied. So here we have simply studied about the force, then type of some forces like unbalanced force, balanced force, and the frictional force. Like how we are applying to move any object, and also this is about the force thing. Now we'll move forward with the first law of motion. Now there are three laws of motion, but starting with the first, let's start with the first one. By observing the motion of an object like on an inclined plane, the Galileo reduced the object move with a constant speed with when the no force acts on them. He observed that when marble rolls an inclined plane, its velocity increases. In the next chapter, also you will study the marble falls under the Venice force gravity as it rolls down and attains a definite velocity while its time reaches. So its velocity decreases and depends on the condition. Now here in this particular C1 shows that the marble is resting. Okay, marble is resting in the idle frictionless plane and inclined in the both side. Galileo argued that when the marble is released from the left, it would roll down slope and go down to the opposite direction. Okay, like this, and then it will go in the opposite direction. So same the height from which it was released. If the inclination of the plane on the both side is equal, then the marble will climb the same distance, and that is covered to be the rolling down. If the angle of inclination right plane were gradually decreased, then the marble would be further distances until it reaches to be the original height. Now, if the right side of the plane were ultimately made horizontal, that is the slope reduced to be zero. Now, the marble would continue to travel forever and trying to reach the same height, and it was released from the unbalanced force on the marble in this case such as zero. So, it is thus suggested that unbalanced external force is required to change the motion of the marble. What we are trying to say, like in this particular concept, like if any object is there, okay, it will be remain in the constant, it will remain in the rest only until or unless any external force is applying on it. Okay, and when you apply any force, then obviously because of this mass, it is going to be change the motion. It means F will be equal, it will be remain in the constant only until or unless you will apply any force on it, or it will be in the rest only. So Newton further studied the Galileo ideas and force of the motion and presented the fundamental laws that govern the motion of an object. These are the three laws known as the Newton's law of motion. The first law, see, here it is important that an object remains in the state or rest and uniform motion in the straight line unless compared to the change of the state by the applied force. If we are not going to apply any force, then a particular object will remain same in the same condition. So in other words, all the object resist a change in their state of motion. It in the qualitative way, the tendency of undistributed objects to stay the rest or to keep the moving with the same velocity, it's called a inertia. From here, we got to know one another thing, which is inertia, the tendency of undistributed objects to stay at rest or keep moving with the same velocity. This particular thing is known as inertia. This is why the first law of motion is also known as a law of inertia. First law of motion is also known as law of inertia. Now, the certain experience that we came across while traveling in a motor car can be explained on the basis of the law of inertia. We tend to remain at rest with respect to the sea until the driver applies a braking force to stop the motor car. With with the application of brakes, the car slow down, but the wherever body tend to continue in same state of the motion because of inertia. A sudden application brakes may thus cause injury to us and impact the collision with the panels of the safety belt, and want to prevent the such extent. Safety belts exert force in our body to make forward motion slows and opposite experience the encountered when we are standing in a bus and a bus begins to be moved suddenly. Now we tend to fall backward, and this is because of the sudden start, and the bus brings motion and bus as well as our feet contact with the floor of the bus. So these are the things like how the force work. When the motor car makes a sharp turn with a high speed, we tend to thrown in the one side, right? So this can be explained on the basis of law of inertia only. We tend to continue this in our straight line motion when unbalanced force applied by the engine. To change the direction motion of the motor car, we slip one side the seat due to the inertia of our body. So the fact is that the body will remain at the rest unless acted upon, and the unbalanced force can be illustrated through the following activities. So here something about the Galileo Galilei, who was he, like what was experiment he did and all. Now there is one activity based on this motion thing, and only you just make a pile of similar carom coins and table like this. Attempt the sharp horizontal hit bottom pile using the another carom coin or the striker, we can say. Now in this if the hit is strong enough, the bottom of the coin moves quickly once of the lowest and remove the inertia. Another coins make them fall vertically on the table, like in this direction. Okay, so here you just set the one another activity is that you just set the 5 rupee coin on the strip card like this, and covering to with the empty glass tumbler and on the table. Given card sharp horizontal flick with the finger, and if we do it, then the card shoots away and allowing the coin fall vertically. Tumbler the inertia of the coin tries to maintain the state and rest when the card flows off. So this is about some activity which was based on the inertia. Now let's study the inertia and mass. All the examples and the activities given so far illustrated that there is a resistance offered by an object to change its state of motion. If it is rest, it tend to remain at rest. If it is in the moving, it tend to keep moving. So this property of an object is called as inertia. Do all the bodies have the same inertia? We know that it is easier to push the empty box than the full box of the book. Similarly, if we kick the football, it flies away. But if we kick the stone at the same size, equal force, it hardly moves. So we may in fact get injury in our foot while doing so. So this is the cases for inertia. 5 rupees coin, if we use the 1 rupee coin, we find that lesser force and required to perform the activity. A force that is just enough to cause a small car to pick up a large velocity will produce a negligible changes in the motion. So this is because in comparison to the car, the train has a much lesser tendency to change the state of motion. So accordingly, we say that the train has more inertia than the car. Clearly, heavier or more massive objects offer larger inertia. Quantitatively, the inertia of an object is measured by its mass. We may thus relate inertia and the mass as follows. So inertia is a natural tendency of an object to resist the changes in its state motion. The mass of an object measure of its inertia. We cannot say the same for everyone. It depends on the mass. So this is about inertia and mass. Now let's move forward with the second law of motion. Here The first law of motion indicates that when an unbalanced external force acts on an object, its velocity changes. So that is the objects get an acceleration. We would now like to study how the acceleration of object depends on the force applied to it and how we measure it. So let's recount some of the observations from our everyday life. During the game of the table tennis, if a ball hits player, it does not hurt him. On other hand, when the fast moving cricket or a ball hits the spectator, it may hurt him. So a truck at rest does not require any attention when the parked along the roadside, but moving truck speed at the as low 5 meter per second may kill the person standing on its path. So a small pass of such bullet may kill the person when they fired from the gun, and these observations suggest that impact produced by the object depends on their mass and the velocity. Similarly, if any object is accelerated, we may greater force is required to the greater velocity. In other words, this appear to exist in a small quantity in bodies that combines object mass and the velocity. Here, from these conditions, we can see mass and velocity both are playing the role. On such property, but property is called as a momentum, where P is equals to mv. This is mathematically expression for the momentum. The momentum is P, and object is defined as a product of mass is m and velocity is the b. So momentum has a both direction and a magnitude. Okay, its direction is the same as the velocity of a b. SI unit for the momentum is a kilogram meter per second or kgm per second. And since the application is unbalanced force, change in the velocity of object, it is therefore clear that the force also produces to change in momentum. Now let us consider a situation in which a car with a dead battery is to be pushed along the straight road to give up a speed of 1 meter per second, which is sufficient to start an engine. Now, if one of the person is get the sudden change or unbalanced force, it hardly start. But a continuous push, like you are simply giving the continuous push over the some time, result a gradual acceleration. It will accelerate. Okay, it means the change of the momentum car do not only is not only determine the magnitude of the force, but time during the force which is exerted. It may then concluded the force is necessary to change the momentum and depends. So the second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object, the force is applied to be unbalanced direction of force. There is a mathematical expression. Let's see. See, suppose the object mass m is moving along with a straight line. Velocity is u over here. Mass is m and it is uniformly accelerated with the v, and time is t. And here force is f. Now the initial final momentum. So p1 is mu and second is p2 is mv. So the change in momentum P2 minus P1, you substitute the value mv minus u. Here you get mv minus u upon t on the applied force. So F is directly proportional to mv minus u and upon t. So we'll remove the proportionality. It will be F is equals to kmv minus u upon t, and it is equals to F is equals to kma. So here we can write F is equals to ma as well. So here A is directly proportional to V minus U upon T is the acceleration, is the rate of change of velocity. The quantity K is the constant or the proportionality constant. The SI unit for acceleration is kg and meter per second respectively. So the unit of the force is chosen that the value of constant K. For this time, unit force is defined as the amount that produces the acceleration 1 meter per second square in an object of 1 gram of 1 kg of mass. So 1 unit force is equals to kg into 1 meter per second. So it in short, you can write the mathematical expression for the second law of motion F is equals to ma. The unit force will be kg meter per second square, or Newton, which has the symbol n. In simple, you can write Newton as well. So the second law of motion gives the method to measure the force of an object and product of its mass and its acceleration. So this is about the second law of motion. Okay, depends on the velocity, initial or final, whatever. So now one example is there on the basis of that only. A constant force object mass is given to us, duration is given to us. It increases with the velocity, another velocity, and two velocities are given. Find the magnitude of applied force. Now the force was applied, the duration is 5 seconds. What would be the initial velocity of an object? Now we have seen that u is equals to 0, initial and the final both velocity is given, time is given, m is given. Now we have F is equals to mv minus c upon t. So you just substitute the value and here you get F is equals to 10 Newton. Now if the force is applied, duration is 5 seconds according to the question, and the final velocity to be calculated. So V is equals to U plus AT. From the first law of motion, you just substitute it and here write all the values. In substituting, you will get the final value for the V is equals to 13 meter per second. Okay. Another numerical is also there, which would be a greater force acceleration 2 kg mass 5 meter per second, 4 kg mass 2 meter per second. Now we have F is equals to MA, M1 is equals to 2, A1 is given, M2 is given, A2 is given. So just substitute the value, you get F1 equals to 10, F2 is equals to 8. So here F1 is greater than F2. So thus accelerating 2 kg mass at 5 meter per second would require a greater force. So just simply on the basis of this laws of motion, you can easily find out some these like you can easily solve the numericals. Now let's move forward with the third law of motion. So the first two laws of the motion tell us how the applied forces changes motion and provide us the method of determining the force. So the third law of motion state that when an object exert a force of an for another object, the second object exerts a force back on the first. So these two forces are always equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. So these forces act on the different object and never on the same object. In the game of football, sometimes we, while looking at the football, trying to kick it off in the greater force, collide with the player and then opposite team, both feel hurt because each applies the force on the other. In other words, there is a pair of a force as thus not a force. The two opposing of the force is also known as a action and a reaction force. So simply we can write it as that two opposing forces are also known as action and reaction. So let us consider two spring balance connected. Okay. So here you just consider the two spring balance connected together and the fixed end of the balance B 8.10 here like this. Okay. So here the fixed end of the balance B is attached with a rigid support like a ball. When the force is applied through the free end of the spring balance A, it is observed that both the spring balance shows the reading on this scale. So it means that the force exerted by the spring force A on the balance B and opposite in the direction. So exerted by the balance B on the balance A. Any of these two forces can be called as action and other as a reaction. So this gives an alternative statement of the third law of motion, that the statement will be to every reaction there is a equal and opposite reaction. However, it must be remembered that action and reaction are always act on the different objects simultaneously. So suppose you are standing at a rest and intend to start walking on the road. You must accelerate and this requires a force. Accordance with the second law of motion, what is the force? Is this a muscular support or you exert on the road? So is this in the direction of intent to move? Now, no, you push the road below the backward and the road exert on equal and opposite reaction. So it is important to note that even though action and reaction forces are always equal in magnitude, these forces may not produce the acceleration of equal magnitude. This is because equal force act on the different objects and that may have a different mass as well. Now, when the gun is fired, it exerts a force on the bullet. The bullet exerts an equal opposite forces on the gun and this result with a recoil gun. Since the gun has a much greater mass than the bullet, the acceleration of the gun is the mass less than the acceleration of the bullet. The third law of motion can also be illustrated when a sailor jumps to the rowing boat. As the sailor jumps forward, the force on the boat moves to be the backward. So equal and opposite reaction. So this is what according to the third law of motion. Activity is there. You just see, request the two children to stand on the separate cart. Okay. Yeah. So you just request the children to stand on the separate cart and given with the bag and equal to this full of sand and some of give them a bag full of sand or some of the heavy object. Ask them to play game and catch with the bag. So does each of them experience an instantaneous force or as a result of throwing the same bag? You can paint a white line with the cart wheel and observe the motion when the children threw the bags on each other. It will like change, equal and opposite reaction will be there. So, this is an example which we have started, like when it jumps, it will one will be he will move in the forward direction, other will be in the backward direction. So equal and opposite direction. Now you just place the two children, on the cart and one another cart. The second law of motion can be seen, as this arrangement would be show the different acceleration for the same force, like F is equals to ma. So here it will be like the second law of motion, and the cart shown in this activity can be constructed by using like this measurement is given with the two pairs and had a wearing balls and skateboard and are not to be effective as then difficult to maintain the line motion. So this is about the third law of motion. Some numericals were left. Let's go ahead with this. See, a motor car is with the velocity of 108 and takes a 4 second to stop the brake and apply it. Calculate the force exerted by the brakes on the motor car, or if it the mass along with the passenger is 1000 kg. So the initial velocity for the motor car is given 108 kilometer per hour. You just 108 into 1000, you just convert into the meter per second, and also the final velocity v is equals to 0 meter per second. Which is, the total mass of the motor car along with the passenger is 1000 kg, and the time taken to stop the motor car t is equals to 4 seconds. Now, from the equation we have like F is equals to mv minus u upon t. Substitute the all values, you get F is equals to minus of 7500 Newton. The negative sign is that says the force exerted breaks in the opposite direction. Whenever you are getting a negative sign in the force thing, you just keep in mind that here obviously, like for sure, the force is in that opposite direction of the motion of the motor car. So you get the value of F. Okay. Now another question is, a force of 5 Newton give the mass m1 of an acceleration 10 meter per second and a mass is m2 and acceleration is 20 meter per second. What acceleration would it be given to the both masses were tied together? So here you just from the equation m1 is equals to fa1, m2 is equals to f upon a2 for the two different masses and the two different accelerations we are going to find. Okay, so we'll just substitute the values for m1 5, a1 10, a2 10 20, and also m2 is 5 upon 20. So here you get the value for m1 is equals to 0.5 kg, 50 kg, and m2 will be equals to 0.25 kg. Simply whatever the things are there, you just kind of find out with the help of F is equals to ma formula. If you have F, then just write the value of m or a. If you have F or a, then just keep the m one side and you will get the value of m as well. So with the one formula, you can easily find out these all things. Now, if the two masses were tied together, so m will be equals to, you have the two different values for the m. It's 0.50 plus 0.25. It will be 0.75 kg. So the acceleration of A is produced combined in the S of mass by the 5 Newton. Given force would be F is equals to A is equals to F by m. Then it will be equals to 5 upon 0.75. So we get the value of acceleration, which is equals to 6.67 meter per second. Now another graph-based question is there. The velocity of the time graph mass is 20 gram and moving along with the straight line. Table is given like this. The graph is between velocity and the time. You'll have to find how much force does the table exert on the wall bring to the rest. So initial velocity for the ball is 20 centimeter, and see, initial velocity, it's, see, here it is 20. Now, due to the friction force exerted by the table, the velocity of the ball decreases, and thus u is equals to, we get 20 centimeter per second, v is equals to 0 and t is equals to 10. Since the velocity time graph is in the straight line, it is clear that the ball move with the constant acceleration. So a is equals to v minus u upon t. Now you get some first law of motion, you just substitute all the values and here you get the value of a is equals to 0.02 meter per second. So F is equals to ma also we know, you just substitute the value for m and a and you get the value of F is equals to 0.0004 Newton. Here again the negative sign implies that the frictional force exerted by the table opposes the direction to the motion of vault. So this is all about the numerical part. Now what we have learned in this chapter is, like first law of motion we have studied, an object continues to be in the state or rest until or unless any external force has been applied to it. The natural tendency of an object resistant and a change in the state or the rest uniform motion is called inertia. Or we can say first law is only the inertia thing. The mass of an object is a measure of inertia and it is its SI unit is kilogram. Force of the friction is always opposes the motion of an object. Second law of motion is the rate of change of momentum. Object proportional to the applied unbalanced force or the direction in the force. The SI unit of an force is like a kg meter per second. This is also known as a Newton and represented by the symbol N. And a force of the 1 Newton produces an acceleration is 1 meter per second of an object or mass is 1 kg. The momentum of an object is the product of its mass and velocity and has the same direction of the velocity. Its SI unit is kg meter per second. Third law of motion is to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and they act on two different bodies. So this is all about the motion, three laws of motion, their mathematical expression. So that's it. But still, if you have any doubts or you want a teacher to guide you personally, you can join our one-to-one live tutoring at Goa Snow Academy. We will help you to learn every concept with the ease. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next chapter.